Snow White, Mirror of Lies. Chapter 1. In the Kingdom of Ebony, nothing is as it seems. 25 years ago, Queen Lila made a wish for a baby with skin as pale as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as the night sky. She got her wish in a baby as fair and beautiful as the kingdom itself. The baby was named Snow White. But soon the queen died, handing the throne over to the king's new wife and Snow White's stepmom, Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria seemed nice, but she was really a vain and selfish queen who brought a magic mirror with her. That was the first time things weren't as they seemed in the kingdom. What the subjects thought was a kind-hearted queen was a wicked stepmother in reality. And now, 25 years after Queen Lila made her wish, Snow White is all grown up, and she is the new queen. Victoria is gone, dead, after trying to poison Snow White with a ruby-red apple many years ago, and now it is Snow White's throne that subjects gather around with their troubles and concerns. And Snow White is so good that she wholeheartedly listens to every problem and finds a just and kind solution. The line is always long, because the kingdom isn't as it seems. Subjects are hiding secrets. The magic mirror, which now lurks in the attic, is hiding secrets as well. But the castle that Queen Snow White lives in is the most mysterious of all. For Snow doesn't know it yet, but things in the castle are never what they seem to be. And she can't trust anyone. Snow slipped her green sleep mask off and put on her golden crown. It had diamonds, rubies, emeralds, and sapphires that the 7 dwarfs had mined for her. Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, Sneezy, Grumpy, Bashful, and Happy, the 7 dwarves, were her best friends in the world. They had taken her in when she didn't have a home, about 6 months ago. And now she remembered them, every day with a crown. Snow pushed down her comforter and jumped out of bed. She was excited for the day ahead, helping people with their problems. And for her free hour, Snow really wanted to go berry picking. She hadn't done that in a long time. Not since she was crowned queen, at least. Snow pulled on a red sundress with yellow frills and some sleek black Mary Janes that had belonged to her mother, Lila. Snow felt a lump in her throat. She missed her mother every day. And her father, who had died in a war when Snow was 7. Ignoring any sad thoughts for the moment, Snow opened her door and raced down the hall for a quick breakfast before a long day. "Good morning, Donna," Snow said to the royal cook. "Good morning, Your Majesty," Donna said with a bow. "What are you thinking today? Eggs? French toast?" Snow thought it over and sighed. "How about pancakes? They were my mom's favorite." Donna frowned and gave Snow a hug. "Are you still missing her?" "Of course. She died when I was 3. I barely remember her." Donna gave Snow one more squeeze and let go. "Pancakes it is. What flavor would you like? Blueberry? Apple cinnamon?" Snow gagged at the thought. "Please no apple cinnamon, Donna. I hate apples." Donna frowned. "You loved them when you were younger." "Oh, I guess I just outgrew them. You know, things like that happen sometimes. See you later." Snow rushed out of the kitchen. She wasn't the great liar, and no one in the palace knew that Queen Victoria had tried to poison her with an apple. Snow tried to block out the memory herself. Who could do something so horrible? As Snow waited for her blueberry pancakes, she peered out the window at the long line of subjects waiting to consult her about their problems. Snow sighed. Why couldn't the kingdom just be happy? You're not good enough to be the queen. Look at all these miserable people under your ruling. Look at what you've done to them. Snow tried to shake the negative thoughts inside of her, but she knew the truth. When Victoria was the queen, no one came to her with problems. But that might have been because they were scared of her, not happy. It made Snow happy that her subjects felt comfortable around her, but sad that they were so miserable. The Kingdom of Ebony was a damp, dark place. In the winter, they only had 6 hours of sunlight each day. Snow knew they had to save their crops now, while it was still autumn, or the kingdom would starve. Snow shivered. It was getting cold in the kingdom already. "Breakfast is ready," Donna called, carrying out a tray of buttery pancakes on a silver platter. Snow breathed in the gooey blueberry scent and felt a rush of warm air. Things were going to be okay. She knew it. After daintily scarfing down 2 delicious cakes, Snow headed off to brush her teeth, comb her hair, and then headed to the throne room. "Good morning, Rico," she said to the security guard in the throne room. "Good morning, Your Highness. Ready for the first visitor?" Snow nodded, and the door came open. A blast of cold air hit Snow in the face. She shivered and sat up straight. It was the farmer's daughter, Jenny. Jenny, wearing a beige dress, bowed in front of Snow. Then she came forward with her request. "Queen Snow White, I come in place of my father, who is much too busy on the farm to wait in this line." She paused. "No offense." Snow nodded for Jenny to continue. Jenny took a breath. "Our cows won't last another frost without a barn, but we don't have the money to build them one." Snow frowned. If Jenny needed money for something reasonable like that, Snow couldn't refuse. But according to the royal treasurer, money was tight. Snow needed some for the winter festival and some for crop storage in the neighboring kingdom of Ashton. There was hardly enough left to give to subjects. I'll consider your request," Snow says. "I'll get back to you about that in a few days." Jenny frowned. "But the next frost is coming tonight. Our cows will die." "I'm sorry, Jenny. Tell your father his request has been denied." Jenny froze in place. "What?" Snow's throat burned. She was trying not to think of what she was doing. "I'm sorry, Jenny. You can't do this. You can't." Jenny cried, obviously trying to hold back tears. Rico picked her up and carried her out of the throne room, Jenny yelling the entire time. Snow knew she had made a mistake. Snow didn't want to see any more guests that day. She pleaded with Rico to just give her the day off. Rico told her she had to, as queen, and so she reluctantly let him bring the next request in. A middle-aged woman in sunglasses and a tight black dress strutted into the throne room. She wore her black and gray hair back in a tight bun, and she carried an expensive-looking purse. "Name?" Snow asked. She didn't recognize this woman, even though she took it upon herself to know everyone in the kingdom. The woman took her sunglasses on, revealing her icy blue eyes. "I'm Chandra Jones, manager of the Ebony Marketplace." Snow nodded. "What is your request?" "The marketplace storage shack had a break-in last night," Miss Jones told her. Snow gasped. There were never break-ins in the Kingdom of Ebony. There were no robbers or bad people, at least now that Victoria was off the throne. Shaking, Snow prodded the woman to continue. "What was stolen?" "Not much," Miss Jones admitted. "Only a dozen apples, a cup of brown sugar, some vanilla, a chunk of butter, 2 lemons, and our entire supply of cinnamon." "That's really weird," Snow admitted. "First of all, we never have break-ins. Secondly, who would want those things in particular?" Ms. Jones shrugged. "Maybe they were Maybe," Snow said, but she wasn't convinced. "Anyway, what are you proposing?" "I need replacements," Ms. Jones barked. "That's a week's worth of sales down the drain. We don't even have any more cinnamon for the market shelves." Snow sighed. "Well, where am I supposed to get the materials?" "My cook, Donna, gets her ingredients from your marketplace." "I don't know, but you need to figure it out." Ms. Jones screeched. She spun on her heel and exited, rather dramatically, Snow noted.